Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check. Sorry about that, y'all, man. I ran a little late trying to find a thumbnail. And I'm gonna have to just put one on there later. Get myself together, man. Oh man. So we just gonna watch a video today and see IUIC breaking down the well, they're not really breaking down the Hasmonean dynasty. Let me get a 1 or 2 in the chat if y'all can hear me. We got the link in the chat already. They're not really breaking down the Hasmonean dynasty. Shalom, sister. Sister Salisha. They're not really breaking it down, but they are going into Herod and how Herod began, and it's it's some triumphant, man, hey man, bring it out, bring it out, bring it out. But I do want to show, what you open up when you go into this. Um, and this is why I never really seen them. I never really seen them go into it. I never really seen a lot of camps. Like I said, when I first start teaching on the Hasmonean dynasty, and I was even not before I even taught it, but when I was looking up information for it, I didn't see nobody. I didn't see no camps. It was no camps that had this information or was teaching this information besides GMS. I seen a GMS brother go over this, but GMS they kind of scattered. They're not really, under one roof, or what I'm saying, they under one roof under the elders, but everybody kind of got their own thing they kind of do. They not really gathering together and going over this. They are in their particular camps, but you can find them teaching different things within their bodies, different bodies, and they have several different bodies. But we're gonna give people a few minutes because I know this notification didn't go out as swift as I know it takes about 10 to 15 minutes for these things to go out, and I started this thing late. I was trying to get a thumbnail, and every thumbnail that I put up maybe like 15, 20 that I was trying to save, and every time I went to pull it up, and then I say, okay, well, I'm gonna use this one. It says, well, the file's too big, or they weren't pulling up. Some of the things that I saved off the internet. So I will have a thumbnail to this one though. It will be a thumbnail to this thing. Let me make sure brothers know. But man, I pray everyone's had a great week thus far, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, man. Another torn killing spree, man. The Edomites out here, what I'm saying, killing folks inside of these banks, man, going back to their jobs, going crazy. And a lot of this has to do with some of the social constructs we done built around not hurting nobody's feelings and not, trying to protect kids from being bullied and humiliated. This thing has, cost cost this society some of the characteristics, some of the characteristics that's needed. Some of those building blocks of character that are needed to do survive. You being fired, or you're being laughed at, or you're being mocked. So now we have a society that's just gelatin. And so anytime somebody says something, or anytime some affliction, or anybody ridicules them, or anybody tells them something to do something, and anybody reproves them and correct them, becomes this big thing where these folks be ready to kill themselves, even and not just kill themselves, but kill other people. They want to take down and kill other people. Also, that darn Bud Light VP putting that darn transgenderism on them commercials. I saw him with a brother, and at first I didn't see the reasoning. I'm like, well, why didn't they use a stud? Why didn't Bud Light use a stud instead of and have a stud do a commercial with a bunch of studs drinking Bud Light? And why didn't they do a commercial like that instead of using a transgender woman? And I just didn't understand that thing. Shalom, Mop.
Shalom, up.
I didn't understand that thing at first. I'm like, man, why would they use why would they use a transgender woman? Why not use a stud? And then Art was like, well, they want you to be attracted to the transgender woman. I said, oh, boy, they done went too far. So you done put that transgender woman swimming in some Bud Light like that was some bikini model to a man. And swimming in Bud.
Big broad shoulders. Get out of here.
Yeah, I was like, man, why didn't they just use some studs? Why didn't y'all just use some studs playing cards, barbecuing and drinking a Bud Light if you wanted to reach that community? But no, you trying to put a transgender in front of us with Bud Light, trying to make us like that's some kind of temptation or something. Man, you don't get out of here with that mess, man. And you got them Edomites riled up, man. They said they ain't touching that. They ain't touching that Bud Light. I think girl, whatever she is, I think she gonna get fired, man. I think she gonna get fired if she hadn't already been fired. And
So you talking
now
about the producer?
yeah, the vice president or whatever, whoever whoever put it together. And I don't know, like whatever she is, I don't know. She looks almost like I don't know if she's transgender or not. I don't know. It just
Can't tell no more, man.
I can't.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, like the woman who did it. I don't want to say that's a man, but my sense is kind of going off that maybe she's transgender. Also, and you trying to get these folk to drink beer and all that, so man, y'all like, come on now, like, come on now. So I was like, man, a transgender woman, even if you're a woman, a gay woman, as a man trying to be a woman, usually gonna still try to drink them little girly drinks. They're not gonna be drinking no darn Bud Light. They not gonna order a pitcher of Bud Light. That's weird, but no, it's not weird when you come from the angle of, yeah, I'm finna put this woman and make this man in front of them and think that it's a woman, and put some Bud Light in so they can just drink it and be enticed and understand that they tongues is watering over a darn man in a darn bathtub. Man, that was weird. We're all crazy, man.
Man, Shalakia, I saw a video of an MMA fight. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I seen that trash.
Yeah, it was a white dude and the women's. He beat up the black chick.
Yeah.
And then when they go to congratulate her, and he said, "Yeah, I'm coming for all y'all," with the deepest voice.
I would have threw everything I bought in there at that ring, man.
Man, I'm talking about his voice is deeper than the announcers.
Yeah.
I'm coming for all the women in this division. I'm like, man, this is a travesty. This is ridiculous.
Trying to get the crowd hype.
Yeah, exactly. Man, you just don't know, man. But whoever's in charge of that is ridiculous. He could have killed that woman.
Insist Dom for even doing that. Why would you do that? Why would you sit up there and fight a darn man?
It's like an experiment. She is, yeah. She thought she was going to be the groundbreaker, but she probably got paid a little extra to do that.
Man. That's a man, Con. That is a man. That Joker got up there, yeah, I'm gonna take over all the division. Like, bro, you ain't even trying.
At all.
Even trying to be no darn transgender. You just put on a sports bra and went out there and fought another woman, man. Fought a woman.
And who gonna be attracted to that after you supposed to be feminine? You feminizing yourself and you sounding like Barry White. Come on, man.
Come on, yeah, man. Yeah, you ain't even trying. You just went out there to darn make you some money fighting and beat up a woman, man. You got off on that.
Yeah.
But these are the doors that we open up, man. These are the doors. Boy, man. We got this, man. Somebody got to put a line in the sand. Somebody got to draw the line. And like I said, you got to start calling these things out. And again, these are some of the atrocities. These are some of the things that the character building is not happening, man. You know, those back in the day, those that were gay back in the day, boy, they had to be gay. They wasn't no hiding it. They had to come out. They had to deal with, the looks and people mocking them and people doing certain things. In today's time, man, these folks just out here just doing, man.
They used to get beat up.
They used to get beat up, yeah, man.
They used to get beat up. You ain't coming outside twitching with your look. No. Especially not. I mean, I graduated in '87, so from in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s. No, that was a taboo.
Yeah,
You
man.
definitely wasn't coming outside like that, man.
No, sir. And if you
Nah, man.
did it, you was strong with it.
Oh yeah,
You wasn't in no cloud. You was strong with that thing. But if you was out there like that, you was strong with it.
you had a
Because
serious, strong spirit on you. Yeah, man.
yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. We had a few, but you couldn't really, you wouldn't really, we had one that played football. He run a funeral home out here now, but that Joker, I done seen that Joker put it on a few Jokers. You know what I'm saying? You knew he was a little sweet, but you know, he still gonna line up and kind of knock your head off on that football
Right,
field.
right.
And he gonna line you up in that locker room. If you wanna go at it, he gonna line you up. And yeah, that Joker, but he did, and he's in that lifestyle now, man. He just totally in that lifestyle. So but he not he not out here in no dress and darn makeup and trying to be no woman. You know what I'm saying? But he is a homosexual. But anyway, yeah, these things out of line. We didn't have that. We didn't see nobody. No, we ain't see no man. Like you had a broken wrist and you had a little flamboyant mouth, but that's about it. You wasn't
Right.
you wasn't going to school putting on no wig. And I don't even think the school would have allowed that.
Really? Yeah.
I don't even
They
think the
talk to the
schools would have
parents.
allowed that back then. Yeah, I'm telling you. They would have
Yeah.
talked to the parents, man. I don't think they would have allowed that back then. You coming in here with a wig on, dressed like a darn just like a woman. But anyway, y'all, let's get to this video, man. There's a reason that they don't label it mental health. Yeah, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's what you don't have those blocks. Just like that woman went in there and shot that darn Christian school up because they didn't teach, they taught against homosexuality, and she went in there and
That's what
shot.
she did?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they wouldn't have did that back then. They wouldn't have did that back then because they done had some character built. They'd already done went through so much in high school and they numb to that stuff now. It don't really get to them. But now you're in a time where these things are protected and these folks ain't never been told no, or these folks ain't never been kicked out no bathroom, or these folks, you know what I'm saying, when that does happen to them, they can't handle it.
Yeah, man.
We gonna see more and more of these things happening. The more we try to protect these folks from doing these abominations. Um, but if anybody ain't got anything else, man, we'll get into this thing, man. We just gonna watch this video real quick and then go over some of the stuff, some of the problems that'll happen. Go ahead, Doc.
Hey, shalom, family. Y'all about you myself, I could die.
How about you,
And
man?
Shalom.
and and ironic, like Brother Dion said, he ain't know nothing about that. The woman that did that in Tennessee, you see, they ain't get a whole lot of coverage on it. It ain't talk about her gender or what her sexual orientation. That's like the hot topic. But you notice the media they didn't cover it a whole lot.
That's
You
a
know what I
major
mean?
fact.
And so that's I'm with Donald Trump. Fake news, brother. Fake news, brother.
Yeah, they didn't speak. They quieted that down, and didn't speak no more on that. They numbed that real quick, or they put it on another mass shooting happening. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Because another mass shooting happened right after that, with that bank thing in Louisville.
Yeah. Okay.
So they never bring that out. They always bring out the hate that's coming towards them, but they never bring out the hate that they're showing towards people who's on opposing views of that thing. And how they're
Yeah.
being quieted and banned. And you
Yeah.
just can't
Okay.
say
I
no
mean,
word.
Kyrie had more coverage on reposting the tweet. He had more coverage on. It was a national. It was breaking news, man. You know what I mean, man. We reposting the term documentary, man. Here it is, a mass shooting and nothing. I hear, brother.
Yeah, he said that thing made him the victim. Yeah, yeah. They probably making that Joker a hero, or her a hero. And then y'all want to talk. Then they always want to talk about the guns. Man, it was the guns and the guns did. No, man, that was hate. That was a hate crime.
Okay.
They'd never put that on her. They'd never put that on them.
Yep, they'll never do that. But that was a darn hate crime, man. They still talking about that darn whatever that little shooting was. I think he was homosexual too, though. That shot up that club. I think that dude down there in Florida. I think that dude was a homosexual.
Yeah, Karen down in Orlando. Yeah, Karen. Yeah, I think he was. I think he was homosexual too, man. I think his thing was. I think he had got rejected though. You know, I think it was some rejections involved with that dude, man.
Right. Again, not being able to bear with rejection. You know, because we trying to darn cradle these folks, man. Trying to cradle them and wrap them up in blankets and keep them from being poked at and keep them. But man, you do that if they don't get that at an early age, they're not gonna be able to handle it when they get older, and they're not gonna be able to accept the rejection. You got to shoot your shot when you as a child. You shoot your shot at females when you're a child, you'll learn how to take that rejection, man. Some of the ugliest brothers, man, they'll shoot the shot the most.
Right.
Because they
Hey, there's a famous quote from Biggie. He say, "Black ugly as ever, but however, I stay Gucci down to the socks."
Yes, sir. Them jokers will shoot they shots, boy. You know, the other jokers be trying to be like, like little snipers, and they like, okay, well, that's about my speed right there, Certain, you don't shoot at everything because you be like, okay, well, that's a little, but not no ugly joker. Joker done got rejected so much, he numb to it. He shoot at everything, man. And he catch sometimes. Man.
He played the numbers. Even a salesman to tell you, if I speak to 10 people, at least one of them gonna listen. So
God. Yeah, so let's check out this video. I say IUIC. This is my first time seeing them teach on this. It's not really. He's kind of going into the Hasmonean dynasty, but he's not really. He's only going there to try to teach who Herod was, but it shows some of the things that happens when you once you start realizing this. Some of the questions that one would have to ask. Fair use. And this ain't no bang video. We're not banging on IUIC. This is just okay. You. So I know you understand this now. Now let's just some of the questions that you need to ask yourselves and some of the things that you may need to research if you haven't already done it. Let's watch the video. Y'all see my screen?
John.
We're gonna fast forward to history. Under the Maccabean time period, under the Hasmonean dynasty with John Hyrcanus.
First Maccabees, chapter 16, verse 1. Then came up John from Gaza and told Simon, his father, what Sendibius had done. Wherefore Simon called his two eldest sons, Judas and John, and said unto them, I and my brethren and my father's house have ever from our youth unto this day fought against the enemies of Israel. And things have prospered so well in our hands that we have delivered Israel oftentimes. But now I am old, and ye, by God's mercy, are of a sufficient age. Be ye instead of me and my brother, and go and fight for our nation.
So you see the consecration of John Hyrcanus being put in place of Simon. Go to the last verse now. Go give me verse 23.
Verse 23. As concerning the rest of the acts of John and his wars and worthy deeds that he did, and the building of the walls which he made, and his doings, behold, these are written in the chronicles of his priesthood from the time he was made high priest after his father.
So John Hyrcanus, after the Maccabean time period, the Hasmonean dynasty was made high priest. Give me the article, JewishEncyclopedia.com.
And so then back during the Hasmonean dynasty, the king was also the high priest. All right, the king was also the high priest. And we, you going down the Maccabean lineage, these folks, you can pretty much see these folks they're not Levites.
Jewish Encyclopedia.
Go down.
John Hyrcanus.
Yo, just read the beginning.
Trying to get to the
John Hyrcanus.
Come on. Nobody.
comment in there.
It's just cut off.
It's cut off. Come over some.
Check it out.
Right, that's good. High priest, prince of the Hasmonean family, born about 175, died 104. He was a wise and just ruler and a skillful warrior. As a young man, he distinguished himself as a general.
That's all. That's it. Now go down. What did John Hyrcanus do? What did he start? Go down. Keep going down.
And so you can see here some of the coinage. You see the Phoenician script, some of the Paleo Hebrew there.
Keep going.
I want to say that's a tulip. Hold on. I'm trying to roll the screen up when it's really in the video. My bad, y'all.
I'll tell you when to stop. Right there. Keep going. Yep, right there.
Forcibly converts the Edomites.
Mm-hmm.
Hyrcanus, who had been confirmed by the Romans in the possession of the important seaport of Joppa, subjugated other Syrian towns, such as Beroea, Aleppo. He marched against the fort of Madaba on the banks of the Jordan, which had always been hostile to the Hasmoneans, and conquered it after a 6-month siege. He also conquered the town of Samega, on the Sea of Galilee, of special importance on account of its geographical position.
Jump down to after.
After victoriously ending the war in Samaria, he proceeded to subdue.
And you can see here where he also conquered the town of Samaria on the Sea of Galilee. We know the Sea of Galilee above the Samaritans, where a lot of the disciples were gathered. Of special importance on the account of its geographical position. They wanted that because import, export, a lot of money go. Anywhere where that sea is or any coastal city is of geographical importance because of import, export, and fishing was a heavy thing. It says then proceeded against the Samaritans, who he had always sided with the enemies, of the Jews. The Samaritans always, whoever's trying to conquer Judea, the Samaritans was on their side. Let's get them. All right, go ahead. I'm my bad.
The Edomites.
Read it again. Sorry. He proceeded to subdue the Edomites. Keep going.
Always a menace to the southern parts of his domain.
Always a menace. Go on.
With funds, which he is said to have obtained from David's sepulchre, he hired foreign troops, dismantled Adora and Marisa, the strong places of Edom, and forced the Edomites to accept the Jewish religion and to submit to circumcision.
He forced the Edomites to accept our customs and forced to circumcision. We're reading the beginning. Go on.
This is the first instance of forcible conversion in Jewish history.
Read.
And this Hyrcanus allowed his zeal for the Jewish cause to lead him to take a step which later wrought harm. For to the Edomites belonged the family of the Herodians.
For to the Edomites belonged to the family of the Herodians. He forcibly converted the Edomites to accept the Jewish religion. Oh no, we're not done. We're not done. Just keep going.
Hasmoneans, the Samaritans who still held their strongly fortified metropolis of Samaria with a part of Jezreel.
That's all I want. Let's go to Luke chapter 1. So Herod and the Herodian.
And that shows you too a little of the beef between Samaria and Judea. John Hyrcanus went up there, he destroyed their temple. That's why the woman, we see the woman at the well saying, man, we used to sacrifice up there on that mountain. But Hyrcanus done knocked that temple down, man. Knocked that temple down, and this is too why they were stopping the Messiah. They felt maybe he was the Messiah, possibly that he is the Messiah. Man, we not letting you go down. Well, not even that. Just the fact, I'm not letting you go down there to celebrate no Passover. I'm not letting you through there. I know what you're going over there to do.
Dynasty was forcibly converted by John Hyrcanus to accept of our customs, our circumcision, as well as our religion. We're seeing the ascent in terms of the Herodians.
And this is one of the questions I want to ask, and I'm not looking for an answer. I just want IUIC to ask yourselves this. You conquered a people. and then you forced them to convert, and you made them take on your customs, and you made them take your religion. That almost sounds like what we say Edomites did to us.
Huh.
It almost sounds like what Edomites did to us. Where you conquered the people. You took their identity from them. Because at this point, we're in the text, are we still seeing Edomites? Are we seeing Idumean Jews? Are we seeing people that are we seeing Herodians? Where are the Edomites at? And then I wanna say this too. Now we saying that, and I want you to ask yourselves this: if this happened in at 107 BC, that you went down and conquered the Edomites, we know in 200 and 300 BC that we were dealing with Greeks and Romans. So if you conquered during that period, and we had the Maccabean period freeing themselves of that, then who are the Edomites? If the Greeks and Romans, we freed ourselves and fought them and freed ourselves, and then we can't say we in captivity because we conquering other people. Right at this point, we sit out here conquering people and conquering other nations. If the Greeks and Romans, we freed ourselves from them and then went and conquered the Edomites, who are the Edomites? I want you to ask yourselves that also.
Edomites, right? Keep in mind. Let's go to Luke chapter 1, verse 5.
Luke chapter 1, verse 5. There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea.
Herod, the king of Judea, read.
A certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth.
So it's kind of odd. It says Herod, the king of the Judeans. I'll say it again. It says Herod, the king of the Judeans. From we just read, Herod was forcefully converted into the Jewish customs, or the customs of our fathers, and forcefully converted to circumcision. Let's go to the prophecy, Jeremiah 36, verse 30. So Herod, the king of Judeans, how was he set up as the king? Remember, he overthrew the Hasmonean dynasty, intermarried with that Hasmonean family lineage, killed them off, killed the sons off, and it succeeded the throne. Esau always ruled that way.
And he's briefly going through this thing, just sped through some of what Herod did to finesse his way into this thing. Like, I had, when I was talking to Gorilla that time, Gorilla Hebrew, he's like, yeah, man, they just, I was like, well, what's the mindset? What's the mindset of a people that's saying, man, we gonna convert, instead of killing y'all, man, we gonna convert y'all, and y'all keep our custom. What is do we have that mindset? Do we have the mindset of the Maccabees? Do we have a Maccabean mindset where these folks are conquering people and then forcing, and to the credit of John Hacker, this is the first time. So nobody had this mindset before him. This is the first time that these folks were actually, a lot of times you're just gonna go into being a servant. And I don't know the politics behind that, behind why he made this decision to convert them, rather to make them servants and handmaids. And it could have been them following Rome, because this is what Rome and Greek did. They would conquer a people, and if that nation was strong enough or valuable enough, they would just add them to their. You'll fight in their wars. You'll worship their gods. It'll make you a little strong. Just like we seen that y'all remember the movie 300, and that Persian king had all of these different nations. He went and conquered. He's like, man, you get down or you lay down. So you can get down, you can be under me, you can bow down to me, you can become a vassal state or a vassal kingdom, and you fight my wars. My enemies are your enemies, but you still get to live. You still get to be in your land and so forth. maybe they were mimicking that. That's only speculation coming from me. Like maybe they're mimicking that and trying to make themselves stronger, because we know too that these Edomites were also, these Herodians were also fighting with us during 70 AD. They also fought against the Romans to try to save Judea, save the kingdom of Judea. Let's keep going.
He intermarried, and then he succeeded the throne. Then he consumed the identity and hid the records. Jeremiah 36, verse 30.
And that hid the records. The records there, man. I don't think they hid them. You got them there.
Jeremiah chapter 36, verse 30. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of Jehoiakim, king of Judah.
Read.
He shall have none to sit upon the throne of David. And his dead body shall be cast out in the day to the heat, and in the night to the frost.
So Jehoiakim will have none to sit on the throne of his father, King David. Get me Matthew chapter 1, verse 11. So Jehoiakim, the prophecy was that there will be none to sit on the throne of King David after his lineage. That will be the end of kings of Israel ruling on the throne. So how did Herod become the king of the Judeans? Matthew chapter 1, verse 11.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 11.
Read.
And Josias begat Jeconias and his brethren.
And Josias begot Jeconias. Jeconias was the son of Jehoiakim. I'll say it again. Jeconias, real quick, just to prove my point. Get 1 Chronicles 3, verse 16.
First Chronicles chapter 3, verse 16. And the sons of Jehoiakim, Jeconiah his son.
Jeconiah his son. Now go back. The sons of Jehoiakim, Jeconiah his son. Read.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 11. And Josias begat Jeconias and his brethren about the time they were carried away to Babylon.
So Jeconiah and his brethren were exiled out of the land that we were carried away to Babylon. After that, there was no kings to reign on the throne. You go into the history, there's Zerubbabel, like I said, he served under the Persian Empire, under the 10,000 or the Royal Persian Army. They known as the elites, or what we call in the movie 300s, the, what is it called?
Immortals.
The Immortals. Thank you. The Immortals. Give me Isaiah chapter 7, verse 16.
Isaiah chapter 7, verse 16. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings.
The land that we abhor shall be forsaken of both Judah and Israel, southern kingdom and northern kingdom. So, who is Herod? Who is Herod? We have no king but Christ. Herod was not the king of Judea. Herod was placed there in power under the Roman authority. Herod took on the customs and the religion of our fathers.
Right.
Let's go to page 88.
And not just Herod, he's making this lesson just about Herod, but it's not just Herod that did this. You conquer and force the whole nation to do this. And this is where we get, when we was talking last week about that circumcision and why the Pharisees were so harking on circumcising those, for me, natural Gentiles, because that's what just happened. That's what our forefathers did. We circumcised. If you gonna be in it, we gonna circumcise you. You gotta be circumcised. We just circumcised the whole nation. Like you gotta be circumcised. And it wasn't just the Edomites that they did this to. Also, we'll see once I pull some of these slides up. We're just gonna read through some of these slides. After John Hiker and it's on some of these other things. Some of these other things that played out during the Hasmonean dynasty. But I salute to IUIC. I see they delve into this thing, but like I say, you gotta ask yourself some certain questions once you get in here. It's not, you got an Idumean king. You got Herodians in the text. You got Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes. You got all these different sects, and then you got, of course, the disciples of Christ. You got, those that are following Christ. You got all these different sects. Where did these sects come from? You have synagogues within all of these different nations. All right, Israel wasn't doing that before that. Israel wasn't. We weren't building synagogues. We weren't building, temples or other places to worship in other nations. You don't see that in the Old Testament. You don't see a synagogue in the Old Testament, even though it's actually a Greek. I think it's a Greek word anyway. But you don't see those other places to worship. You had to go to Israel. You had to go to where His name is placed. Why do we have these synagogues and things in these other nations? But again, I'm just throwing out questions for my brothers to seek out. We kind of went over these things in
the translation, according to the corrected text, is Haman.
Haman,
the son of Hammedatha of Agag.
Haman, the son of Hammedatha of Agag. Read.
Son of Stench, son of Robbery.
Keep going.
Son of Palaf, son of Lasias, son of Florus, son of Phallus, son of Flaccus, son of Antipater.
Haman, son of Antipater. Read.
Son of Herod.
Herod was a descendant of Haman. I'll say it again. Herod comes from the lineage of Haman, the Amalekite. Keep going. Keep going.
Son of Herod, son of Refuse,
Read.
son of Decay,
Read.
son of Pomashta, son of Wazada,
Read.
son of Agag,
Son of what?
Agag,
Son of Agag. Read.
son of the red one,
Son of the what?
the red one,
The red one. Read.
Rufus, son of Amalek,
Son of Amalek. Read it again.
son of Herod, son of Refuse,
Read.
son of Decay,
Read.
son of Pomashta,
Read.
son of Wazada,
Come on.
son of Agag,
Read.
son of the red one,
Read.
Rufus, son of Amalek,
Son of who?
Amalek.
Herod was a descendant of Haman. Herod was a descendant of Agag. Herod was a son of Amalek. Read.
Of the whore of Eliphaz,
The whore of Eliphaz. Go on.
son of Esau.
Son of Esau. Let's go to the next one.
It's over.
Let's go to the next one. Page 691. Yeah, read it.
Herod the king. This was Herod Agrippa the first. He was the son of Aristobulus, grandson of Herod the Great, and nephew of Herod Antipas. He was born about 10 BC and was educated at Rome.
I told you to keep in mind Rome and the Amalekites. We have two instances under 338 under Philip and Alexander, and that Philip subjugated and conquered Macedonia, Alexander Greece, and then you have Rome conquer Italy. The two of them together. I'll say it again. The two of them together in their ascent. Now we're going in history or in time. Go on.
He was born about 10 BC and was educated at Rome.
Read.
In the court of Emperor Tiberius. He was an Idumean.
Herod was an Idumean. Read.
Or Amalekite.
Herod was an Idumean or an Amalekite. Read.
One of the hereditary enemies of the Jewish people.
One of the hereditary enemies of the Jewish people. Herod was an Amalekite, the enemies of the Jewish people, of the Israelites. Let's go to the next page. Next book.
So Agag was an Edomite, a descendant of Esau, the despiser of the birthright.
The despiser of what?
The birthright.
This is why this is the battle of the birthright. They were the despiser of the birthright. Keep going.
And Agag was the king of the Amalekites. Thus, Haman was also an Amalekite, for Haman was an Agagite. See Esther 3:1. And the Amalekites were the inveterate enemies of Israel. In the person of Haman, descendant of Agag, king of the Amalekites, Amalek was added again.
Amalek was added again. Amalek keeps a regenerate through history and coming against us, persecuting and committing the inquisition against us. Keep going.
As Satan hated God.
No, he has BS. Keep going.
In this connection,
it is interesting to note that Herod the Great, who in his attempt to kill the Lord Jesus, ordered the destruction of all the children in Bethlehem, 2 years of age and under, was an Edomite.
Keep going.
According to John Peter Lang's commentary on Matthew, Herod the Great was the first sovereign of the Idumean race of Edomites,
Keep going.
which from the year 40 BC reigned over Jerusalem under the supremacy of Rome.
Under Rome. They reigned under the supremacy of Rome. I'll say it again. The two joined united. Keep going.
Herod was an Amalekite.
Herod was a what?
An Amalekite.
He was an Amalekite. Read.
Descendant of Esau and of the kith and kin of Haman.
He came from Haman.
All right, so with that information, 40 BC, Herod was in there, 40 years before Christ, under the rulership of Rome. But he don't explain how we get there. He doesn't explain. Let me stop sharing here. So you have, you got 150 years missing of what happened to get to the point where those conquered Idumeans that were converted end up getting end up where Rome is now back over Jerusalem, and they end up putting Herod in place under that Roman siege. But again, if you have to ask yourself, you got Romans, it still seems to be, even if you're saying that this is Esau, you also got to explain how Rome is Esau and Greek is Esau, if that's the case, because we got Esau putting these Idumeans in that particular place. All right, you see it, you have a separation there if you're taking that information to heart. And like I say, I just want you to ask yourself these questions. How does this go about? And again, with everybody just saying all white people, anybody white, and Italy, because we see Rome taking over Italy, and I'll talk later, man. We'll get into another class on how this actually happened and how this thing plays out. It's really kind of simple, really very simple. It's really exactly what's going on within these cultures. Today, just like they becoming Jews, just like these Idumeans are now recognizing themselves as Jews. But I'll get into it another time. But I just want you to see some of the things that come up when you're saying these things. What are these things opening up? Again, you have a whole conversion of a nation that we today hate. We today say, well, they are of the devil and they going to do this, and this thing is not for them. But we have a mindset of those Maccabees that have sit up there and forced them folks to convert and forced them to be like their people.
Hey, Shalakia.
Go ahead.
Prior to 300 BCE, I know I seen in Daniel's. Where do them Greeks and Romans come from? I mean, the origin of them, because I know I see them in, and I'm gonna do some further studies on that. Where, because I don't see them till later on in the text. I don't see those Romans and Greeks early in the text. I see them later on in the text, and so what led me to believe that's like a made up term. Because even when I look up the word Greek, and they'll just say the habitants of Greece, I don't see a whole lot of history of those people that took over Greece in like that 300 BCE period. So do you got any information prior to that?
I know they came from a person named Helen. That nation started from a person named Helen. And that's why you have that word Hellenized and so. But that was an individual that started that nation in that particular area. But like I say, a lot of that history is not in the text because it's not about it's not about them. Just like the barbarians, they were a group of people that fought against these folks. A lot of that stuff is just not there. Just like West Africa is not in the text. America, you can I know we say Asaroth is America, but we don't know what's going on. The text is not explaining what's going on at that particular part in the wars and whatever we saying Northern Kingdom is doing over there, or whatever wars and tribal wars are going on over there. It's not giving us that information, but we do see it. Once we do see it, 400, 300 BC, we see it being intermingled with Egypt, and we're gonna get into some of that earlier. But now I can't recall it. I would feel they would come from a Japhite nation. They would come from the Japhites. That was that particular area of the Japhites, and we just don't hear a lot of the Japhites in the text. We don't just we don't. We get a lineage of them, and we'll sit down with that maybe one day, do a class on that. I do got a short class on the Japhites. I got some slides on it, but it's still not a lot of information. I recall that class being very short because there's just not a lot of information on the Japhites. But we do know that Gog Magog area, it speak heavily on that, and you'll have to. That's where you'll have to follow that trail from the Japhites.
Yeah, kind we was going over that Gog and Magog, and we see is a final war with the Japhites and with our Lord, um and making that second address too, kind of harmonize with Esau being at the helm of this thing. Most Israel teach that Israel just ended this world, and Daniel 7 as well, about Daniel 7, 8, and 9, really about these Greeks coming into this thing. So yeah, we just got a lot of studying to do, brother.
And when we say the land of the north, I think we attach that to Babylon, usually. And but these regions that we talking about, Italy, Macedonia, Thessalonica, these things are north. You through Samaria, you through Galilee, you going and bending around the corner and going, up north to the left to the what's that? Is that the west, the east? Yeah, the west. And you going around, it's they up there. You got Edom right up under us. It's a bordering country. It's right up under us. And then you got Moab right to the right of us. So a lot of these areas were pretty close to us that we see mentioned a lot. And like that Italy, Rome stuff. Yeah, we really don't get into that too much until um that 300-400 BC. We start seeing them poking around, but they have a whole history. You know what I'm saying? They got a whole history that we just don't know because it's not written in that. It's not written in the text. It's not written in the canon that we have today. And like you said, we just got a lot of studying to do, and that's why I'm happy that they at least went here and just realized that and that's why I just want to throw questions out so you can just realize, because we need these things answered. We need these things answered, but some of the things we can just see is that they don't have that same view that we had. We also see the Pharisees in the text. We see the Pharisees, Christ telling you go out and make a proselyte even worse. And we don't see them doing that. Do we see that earlier in the text where people are going out their way, traveling across seas to try to convert somebody? You know what I'm saying? We don't really see that earlier than that. So there's an ideology that happened before Christ gets on the scene. John Hyrcanus, we seen him converting. All right, this is Judas Aristobulus to say he reigned immediately after his father, but mother was supposed to be ruling as queen. He immediately throws mother with 3 of his brothers into prison and starves her to death. Made war with Etruria, subjugated a large portion of the people, strove them to convert to Judaism, and forced them to be circumcised also. This is after John Hyrcanus. Suspected brother of wanting to assassinate him, killed him also, which ultimately led to great grief and his death. And y'all, I just brung out some points with each of these people, not to make this, because this is actually part 2 of the Hasmonean dynasty class we did. This is the second slide. Alexander Johannius, set free by Aristobulus' wife, Queen Salome. He was set free by the Queen Salomia. Aristobulus died after a reign of 1 year, and Alexander, as the oldest living brother, had the right not only to the throne but also to Salome, the widow of his deceased brother, who had died childless. All right, and although she was 13 years older than he married her. Now, how did he marry her? The law of kinship, or the law of the brother having to, once a brother don't have no child with a woman, the brother was to go into her and give her a child. But this is also political too, some political stuff too. Suffered humbling defeat. Now watch this. Suffered humbling defeat to Ptolemy. Enemy fell on the camp. Women and children were hacked into pieces and boiled, that they thought they were dealing with cannibals. Had it not been for the assistance extended by Egypt, he may have lost his crown and Judea's independence. So Ptolemy came in there, man. He came back. All right, he was chopping these folks up and boiling them. Chopping them up and boiling them, and had not Egypt assisted, Judea would have been conquered at that point. All right, but we see Rome coming in. They coming in. They trying to take a chance, and it ain't just Rome. It's because Alexander died, and you have these 4 sections. You got the Ptolemies. Who else you got? I think it was just Macedonian they called Greek or whatever. But the Ptolemies. I had to look, y'all. I forgot those. But it was divided up into 4 sections, and these 4 sections are fighting each other, trying to gain more ground. All right, civil war again. This is always our problem. Civil war breaks out with the people versus the high court soldiers due to his impotence during ceremonies. We'll see what he did during the ceremonies. While offering the prescribed water libation on the Feast of Tabernacles, allowed the water to run upon his feet, thus expressing his contempt for this purely Pharisaic ceremony. The people present was so insist at this demonstration against the Pharisees, with whom they in the main sided, that they pelted the king with the citrons, which they carried in accordance with one of the customs of this festival. Again, lots of customs added to these things that we have no idea today. You know what I'm saying? We have no idea. I was telling brother, sometimes when I go over the Feast of Tabernacles, when Christ came down and when he was saying, "Out of my belly shall flow waters of living," rivers of living water. That this was during the time of, it was one of the last days of Tabernacles, and it was one of those feasts. It could have been. You might have to correct me on that. It could have been that great wedding feast, the great wedding feast day. They would go down there and get that libation, that water, and he was saying that I'm the living water. Out of his belly shall, those who believe on me, out of their belly shall flow rivers of living water. And he was doing that in battling the fact that they are going down there getting that darn, thinking they're getting some pure water out of it. And they were poured on the thing, but the way he poured it, it hit his feet, and they were disgusted by it. They assailed him with loud cries and styled him son of captivity, thus resurrecting the old Pharisaic charge against the members of the Hasmonean house and their eligibility to the priesthood. John Hyrcanus had something to do with it. Alexander summoned his Pisidon and Sicilian mercenaries and let them loose upon the people, slaying then and there 6,000 Pharisees. Upon the advice of a Sadducee favorite named Diogenes, he caused in one day 800 captured Pharisees to be nailed on crosses. This monstrous deed is rendered still more horrible by the legendary statement that he caused the wives and children of the condemned to be executed before their eyes, while he surrendered by feasting courtiers and courtesans enjoyed the bloody spectacle. So, he set everybody out there. He set the wives and the children of these Pharisees out there to sit down and eat and watch their fathers and husbands get crucified on the cross. And this is one of those battles. Again, these are those battles between the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Because the Pharisees did that act and let that water hit the feet, the Sadducees and stuff came up against the Pharisees. That was for the Sadducees to go in and sneak in and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna get in with Rome, and maybe they put one of our people up there to be a king rather than the Pharisees. And again, the Sadducees wanted to be, they wanted to be Hellenized. They kind of like that. They known for that. And of course, the Herodians did also. But we see the beef here. All right. But in the text, when Christ comes, they got beef and they got differences, and even Christ played on those differences that they had amongst each other. But they would come together because they had one enemy. They had the same enemy. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Herodians came together against Christ. Queen Salome Alexandria, Salome Alexandria was the first queen of the Hasmonean dynasty. She was the wife of Alexander Johanna and the mother of Hyrcanus II and Aristobulus II. After Alexander died, she inherited the title of ruler of the government. Salome was able to make peace in the land by uniting the Pharisees with the Hasmoneans. All right, she brought the Pharisees back. When she came in, she brought the Pharisees back, into being that governed body on how we keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. Something her husband had refused to do. Traditional oral law again became the law of the secular government. Her peacemaking abilities prevented attacks from Armenia, and she became a beloved ruler of the Pharisees. Salome Alexandria retained the support of her older son, Hyrcanus II, but Aristobulus II did not agree with her diplomatic policies. Salome went so far as to allow the Judean military to use force against her own son, Aristobulus II. This in turn led to, another civil war. And at the end of Salome Alexandra's peaceful reign, she was criticized by Josephus. She was praised in the Talmudic text as a keeper of oral laws and a peaceful ruler. But again, that ruler and her going against her son, and it's still connected to a Pharisee, Sadducee kind of thing, end up causing a civil war. Again, we just scanning through, we just flying through this stuff. Hyrcanus II, Aristobulus, mother names him successor. And he was only king 3 months before his brother Aristobulus rose. And see, these are sons of that queen. All right, she waged war against Aristobulus, but before she died, she made Hyrcanus the second king. He only reigned 3 months before Aristobulus rose in rebellion. Brother me in battle near Jericho, brother against brother, Pharisee versus Sadducees. Aristobulus makes brother surrender. All right, Aristobulus wins. See, Aristobulus makes brother surrender, and peace is concluded. Many soldiers switch sides. Thus, between the weakness of Hyrcanus and the ambition of Aristobulus, Judea lost its independence. Aristobulus was taken to Rome a prisoner, and Hyrcanus was reappointed high priest, but without political authority. This, however, was restored to him by Julius Caesar, who made him an ethnarch, 47 BC. But Hyrcanus left all authority in the hands of Antipater. All right, and this is where we start getting into this Idumean stuff, who used it for promotion of the interests of his own house. Indeed, Hyrcanus' incapacity and weakness were so manifest that while he was defending Herod, whom he had previously saved from the hands of the Sanhedrin. All right, and the Sanhedrin is that Judea council. It's kind of like the Roman Senate. Trying to copy that. Hyrcanus saved Herod from that before Mark Antony, and the latter stripped him of the nominal political authority and of his title of ethnarch and bestowed them upon the accused. So he stripped it away from Hyrcanus and gave it to Herod, Mark Antony. And you know, Mark Antony is one that was the Roman that was married to the general that was married to Cleopatra. They're just showing you all this stuff mixing in. It's not as black as white as we want to put it. You know, we want to make this thing just black people here, white people here, Egyptians here. You know, once these things start intermingling, man, it's stuff, you know, ethnicity is all over the place, man. Mattathias Antigonus, the crises which arose in Palestine in the year 40, put an end to the career of Hyrcanus by the help of the Parthians. Antigonus, which was proclaimed king and high priest, and Hyrcanus was seized and carried to Babylonia after being made permanently ineligible for the office of high priest by the loss of his ears. For 4 years until 36, he lived amid the Babylonian Jews, who paid him every mark of respect. In that year, Herod, who feared that Hyrcanus might induce the Parthians to help him regain the throne, invited him to return to Jerusalem. All right, so Herod was afraid that Hyrcanus would persuade these Babylonian Jews to help put Mattathias back on the throne, to have a Hasmonean back on the throne rather than these Idumeans. Herod received every mark of respect, assigning to him the first place at his table and the presidency of the state council. But he only waited an opportunity to get rid of him in the year 30, charged with plotting with the king of Arabia. Hyrcanus was condemned and executed. And so, you know, Herod was executing folks before, you know, we even got to Christ. His approach of winter compelled Herod to postpone until the next spring a siege of Jerusalem, whither Antigonus and the remnant of his army had fled. When the siege began, it was marked by extraordinary bravery and fantasticism on the side of Antigonus' followers, full of hatred against Rome and Romanizers. They considered the struggle a religious one, in which the prophecies concerning the inviolability of the temple and the nation would triumphantly be vindicated. In the vain, the Pharisees advised surrender to so powerful a foe, just as the prophets of old had inveighed against the convictions of the contemporaries that God would protect his city against any besieging enemy, no matter how numerous. A stout defense lasting 3, possibly 5 months was made against the attacks of the enemies and fangs of famine, which latter, owing to the year being one of release, was more than ordinarily severe. Antigonus behaved most manfully during the siege, but after the final assault, when no hope was left, he fell entreating to the feet of Roman general Sosius, who brutally mocked his grief by dubbing him Antigone. After Sophaces, you know, I'm tearing these things up, tearfully, Heron, at the suggestion of Herod, who was after to allow Antigonus to be taken to Rome in the triumphal train of Mark Antony, lest he should there successfully plead for his rights. This last king of the Hasmonean house was taken to Antioch, and there befell the executioner's axe. It was the first time that Romans had ever thus put a king to death. The last king of pure Jewish blood fell before the intrigues. Somebody help me with that. Intrigues.
Intrigues.
The intrigues of the first king of Judea, not entirely Jewish blood.
And Shalakia,
go ahead.
Right up top, it said, at the suggestion of Herod, who was afraid to allow Antigonus to be taken to Rome. Right, he was afraid.
Because if he would have been taken to Rome, he was afraid that was going to make him king instead. Because he know the Jewish people, the Jews wanted someone that was full-blooded. And so he didn't want them to get to Rome. Just like they wouldn't want Paul to get to Rome. You see what I'm saying? Because if he would have went to Rome, they would have been killed him. If he hadn't went to Rome, they would have went and killed him himself. But him throwing that out there that I'm a Roman citizen, they had to take him to Rome. But and Herod didn't want Antigonus to go to Rome, so he made these certain acquisitions, and he ended up falling to the executioner's axe. But like I said, I just flying through that just to show some of the history, just in case IUIC goes into this or any of these brothers and sisters see this video, because I am gonna tag them. I am gonna tag them up. Fair use. And maybe they can give us some answers, or maybe they can clear some things up and fill in some of these gaps, or come to a better understanding on how we supposed to just a better understanding, period. You know what I'm saying? Not just on how we supposed to deal with these outside nations, but just an understanding on the text, period, because this affects a lot of how we look at the New Testament. And not to say that these things that John Hickman is going down there and converting these folks was a good thing to do, or a right thing to do, but just looking at the mindset of those people back then. Let me also let me share my screen here and go to some blue letter.
Hey, Shalaki, before you do that, can you go back one screen? Because I heard you say they was classifying the Greeks and the Romans, and then they said Edomites. So you was asking who was the Edomites?
Right, because you have Romans, right? You have Romans and Greeks. The Maccabees was started because we fought against the Greeks. You know what I'm saying? We fought against the Greeks, and then you end up becoming a vassal state with the Romans. And so, once, maybe 50 years later, after we do that and fight with them and conclude that matter, and we're ruling Judea, we have this independence. We start going out and conquering other nations. And one of the nations that we first conquered was Edom. And so, my point is, if they conquered Edom, I thought Edom was, most of us feel Edom is the Romans and the Greeks.
But they might not have classified. Was there a place called Edom, like that these people dwell?
There was a place, yeah. That was Edom is right under us. Edom is connected to Judea.
Exactly.
It's connected to Judea, and Rome is a long way from. It's not a long way, but it's a good distance. It's on the farthest reach of a biblical map. When you look at a biblical map, Rome is going to be at the top left.
Okay.
When you look at the section of the countries or the nations that I mentioned within the text, it's not going to show the whole earth. It's just going to show that particular area where those particular nations, Persia, Arabia and Babylon and Moab.
I was looking for a justification for why they didn't signify that, you know what I mean? Why would they just signify the Edomites unless there was a land? There was a land called Edom. So
Yeah,
that's the only thing I was thinking.
and Shalakia, and that's what I was saying. Like when you look at, like we was talking about Gog and Magog, you can see where that lineage run from. You can see that it come from that Japhet nation. You know what I mean? You can see God clearly in the text of where it come from, that last battle. But these Romans and Greeks, I think the first time I seen the Grecian is, I think it's Daniel's 9. And so trying to find out where that lineage come from, then I think I can clear all this matter up if we can find out these Romans and Greeks, was they part of the Edomite nation or was they part of some other nation? And was the ones in the first century and 300 BCE, or are they the original Greeks, or did they just take over somebody else's identity as well? So it's just, that's why I was saying, it's just a lot of study we got to do as far as them Greeks and Romans and see where they come from. 'Cause I know I heard Sakari say, I never did no research on myself, but I know they said that the Romans that was in that region during the time of Christ was not the original Romans. So I haven't studied it. I'm just regurgitating what I heard them say. So yeah, man, you just gotta just figure out where those folks come from.
And that could be, that could be the case, but I don't know if it may not, like I said, the Romans, when they conquered, they picked people up. They made other people Romans. Um, and they got that from the Greeks. But if we're going to take a stance that maybe that they're Japhites, Edom is Shem.
Con.
Say that
So
again.
Edom is from Shem.
Yeah, kind. But what you said, we
Romans
take the
and Greeks.
position.
If we take the position that Romans are from Japhite, there ain't no connection.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I know certain people teach that the Romans are Japhites. And so I think Pastor Dow teach that they that Japhites. But like I said, it's kind of blurred for me, man. When I look at the historical facts, I just got to do some more research on that, man. On was those the original Romans, or was they took over somebody else's identity? And and yeah, because like I said, because a lot of times when brothers say something, they kind of mixing up historical with not archaeological, well, yeah, some archaeological and some prophecies. And so that's where I think a lot of that stuff get kind of mixed all together into one big gumbo. So yeah, we just gotta just take our time and do the work, brother.
And this is why I'm just asking questions. I'm just opening questions up so that we can see that we have to fill these things in. You like these are holes. That we, like I say, he did the video to show that Herod is Idumean, but it's so much, brother, that comes with that. It's so much that comes with you saying that Jews conquered Edom and Edomites and forced them to convert 100 years before Christ walked the earth. You see what I'm saying? It like that opens a door. You can't just close the book, and that's what he did. Oh, Herod's an Edomite. See it? Oh, he was an Edomite. He's like, brother, with that comes, especially if you teaching Israel only, that comes a lot of stuff comes with that, brother. On how these folks got in there, and and how this thing was, politically being set up, and even just the point of why even do that? Why are you even converting these folks and trying to make them Jews? And like I say, even in 70 AD, a lot of Edomites died defending Israel. So it's just, and defending Israel from who? From Romans. That's what I'm saying. You got Romans, you got Edomites with Jews fighting against Romans. And so we'll have to, again, that opens the door, and we'll get into that, man. I just, I don't want to put too much, make nobody choke or nothing, man. But it's not that bad. All right, let me just say you that it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. from my standpoint. You know what I'm saying? From what I've viewed it. But yeah, people start out a certain way and then come into another way. You know what I'm saying? And end up something else. And just like this happened to us here, it happened to them there, and it happens again. And if we go into another captivity, it'll happen again. But you know, people go to certain regions and adapt and become certain things and take on certain customs. This happens. You know what I'm saying? This happens, and you see even them going to the Babylonian Jews, that we still having Jews still in Babylon, and Egypt helping us. So it's just like we gotta, we gotta just look at everything, and like you said, just gotta do some more studying. But I don't want us to close it, but I want to go to a couple, yeah, well, not even a couple precepts because I kind of just threw them things out there. But I'll go to the blue letter and just see that Herodians real quick because I did a class on this too. The Herodians. See if I can pull up a verse or two. I don't think I can. Herodians.
You want to unshare your screen?
Yeah, I'm finna to
Oh, okay. Okay, do your thing.
Yeah. I just wanted to pull it up first. Share screen. Herodians. Y'all see my screen?
It's coming up. Yep.
All right, so you got a couple verses here with them in there. It says, "And they sent out unto him their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true and teachest the way of God in truth. Neither carest thou of any man or regardest, for thou regardest not the person of man." And that's Matthew 22:16. Mark 3:6, it says, "And the Pharisees went forth and straightway took counsel with the Herodians against him, how they might destroy him." All right. And I think Mark 12:13, it says, "And they sent unto him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words." And we see the Herodians have a strong influence, because the Pharisees are taking counsel with them. You know, they taking counsel with them to how we going to destroy Christ, and you know, what could we do to get him up out of there? Let's look at the Herodians in the Blue Strongs. It says Herodians, i.e. Herod's partisans. Herod's partisans. We'll look that word up too. What is a partisan? What is a partisan? But they are Herod's partisans, i.e. partisans of Herod. Let me see. Partisans.
In the try. What is that?
Partisans definition. Y'all still see my screen?
Con.
Says a strong supporter of party, cause, or person. These jokers this all like Democratic, Republicans. What's another one? I know what was that joker with them big ears, man? A solo party. I forget what it's called. But you part of a particular understanding. You love the. You know, I was telling y'all that they even thought that Herod was a god. Some of them thought that Herod was a god. And so they loved that Herodian dynasty.
Liberals, conservatives.
Yeah, exactly. Liberals, conservatives, Republicans. That's all the Pharisees, Sadducees, and the Herodians and the Essenes. That's all they were. And the Essenes didn't want nothing to do with that mess because they felt it was all trash. So they just separated themselves all together. They was like, man, all these jokers trash. We don't want to deal with none of that mess. A member of an armed group or fight secretly against a occupying force. But that's probably what we wanted, man. That a strong supporter. All right, the Herodians were a strong supporter of people, and more than likely, if you are Idumean, you know you probably gonna be a Herodian. if you are Idumean, you're probably gonna be a Herodian. You know what I'm saying? Pharisees wanted to get back to the Hasmonean dynasty. All right, Sadducees wanted to be more Hellenized. They loved the Roman influence. But I yield with that, y'all, man. I hope this thing, this is really just a class for you to go and to further research, to show that some of these things that brothers really didn't bring out. Brothers weren't bringing this stuff out when I first got in. And like I said, when I did the first Hasmonean class, when I looked for YouTube videos from Israelites, I only found one from GMS. From a GMS brother that was like, 5 years from that particular time. But we've been talking about this stuff for a couple years now, man. Feel like it. It feels that way. And what do we do with this information? That's the question. What do we do with this information? If we're saying that Herod is an Idumean, you got to go down and fill in that Hasmonean dynasty in that Herodian dynasty, all the way up to Antipater. And it's, the Herodians all the way through the text, even to the point of Christ, even at the point of Christ dying. But I yield with that, man. If anybody got anything, to say, or anything to add, or any precepts, the flow is yours. If not, we gonna shalom this thing.
Yeah, you just opened up a whole confusing door for me. But I think this stuff is important to know, man. Because we have a blanket term right now, Edomites, and that's considered to be, they call them French Edomites. I heard Watchmen say whether they are German, whether they are French, whether they are, you dig, he go down the line. And apparently that's not the case.
Yeah,
so yeah, man.
But some people say, well, Japhite was black. All the Japhites were black. And it's just hard, man. It's hard for you to come out and just say, well, Edom is the first, Esau is the first white person. Some people taking that Esau is the very first white person, and from Esau, they have all white. So all white people are Shem.
That's what I thought.
That all white people are Shem.
Yeah.
And then the black people are Japhites.
No, the black folks
that are in Russia and in Turkey and in Italy, that are in
African. You got Ham, Shem, and Japheth. I thought the Japhites was like Hawaiians or like Filipinos, that kind of thing. But I always thought that blacks and whites come from Shem, Africans come from Ham.
Yeah, but see, you can say those people are those people because they got there, but the text don't deal with no Hawaii. You don't talk about no darn Hawaii. You don't talk about Australia.
No, it don't.
No, it don't talk about those areas.
But the way I remember I think we talked about it once before, maybe when I first came in, and that's how it was broken down.
Yeah, I done had cards and charts with the Hawaiians that they Israelites.
Really?
Yeah, I done had the Hawaiians in the Philippines that they Israelites. Ak, you ever seen that?
Yeah, Con. I think a lot of the highlights, man, they believe a lot of. You remember?
You said the highlights.
My bad. No disrespect to the brothers, man. But
no disrespect.
No disrespect to the brothers. But like a lot of because remember that little cartoons come on back in the days, little Isaac. And he I know they was down with Pastor Down them a lot. That guy who used to do all them cartoons. And he used to they used to promote that the Hawaiians was Israelites. They promoted that. You know what I mean? When it's been a minute, but yeah, when we first came into this truth, man. You remember the little cartoon, little Isaac?
I don't.
I don't remember that. I ain't watched none of the old. I never watched the cartoon. It's an Israelite cartoon.
Yeah, Karen.
Yeah, I never watched.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to y'all, man. Cause I mean, but this was like this probably was 7 years ago, man. But yeah, but the little Isaac, man, that's what he used to go around and he used to go, try to go to the nations and talk to the nations about God and then he went to Hawaii one time and he was like, yeah, y'all Israel, your forefathers come from the seed of Jacob. Yeah, I remember that, brother.
Mm.
Yeah. And they
I,
have some captivity. I don't know the history of the captivity or something like that, but there's some kind of captivity with them too. Or them being brought somewhere. But
yeah,
the biblical world is different than the whole earth, than what we know today, man. It's really surrounded. It's really those surrounding areas where folks were taken into those countries that I mentioned, and it'll tell you where these folks' land is at. If you just
yeah.
go and look at a map, you just type in on Google. Matter of fact, let me do it now. Biblical map of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. My bad, y'all. I kicked myself out. Y'all hear me?
Con.
Yeah, I am kicking myself. Hold on. Let me see if I can share this thing. Um, share this tab instead. This is just the first. Y'all see my screen?
Con.
Share this tab instead. What about now? Y'all see that?
Con.
So this is just the first map. I don't know if this is just the first one I pulled up, y'all. You still gotta do more research. But you see Ham right there. You see Japhet, and you see Shem
What
right
is this thing?
there in the yellow, and then you see Japhet in the red, and you see what Magog and Gomar and Meshed in Asia Minor, Tarshish. Look what Tarshish is. Tarshish is way over here to the left, over here, right next to that 16 over there. That's where Paul was born. But all of this is Rome here, man. Magog, Gomar, Riftoff, Gomar, Tubal, um, all of these are Roman. Let's see if I can zoom in. Nah, but all of them that's the Roman territory that this particular map is given to Japhet. And then you see here, you see Canaan where that square is. And this is pretty much the biblical map. This is pretty much all they pretty much is dealing with, far as the nations within the text. Come on, y'all hear me? I'm still on.
Con.
Yeah. So we have to, we saying these folks
Con.
ain't these folks. These where these folks settled. These are where these folks. These are where they were settled at. Japhite is in this region. If we're saying Japhite was black, then you saying black people were here. You saying black people were in Rome, and you could go that route. I ain't mad at you for going that route. You just gotta explain it. You just gotta explain that you gotta make all of these people in that red area white people. I mean, black people, and you have to make all of these people that are in Syro-Arabian desert and all of these people in this Shem area. You gotta make them. You gotta make some of them. You gotta make some of them white. Look what Babylon is to the right. Babylon above Shinar. Assyrians. Look where the Assyrians are. Ashur above Babylon. To the right. The land of Uz. See Canaan right there. The land of Uz right there above Canaan to the right. It just, it just depends, man. It depends. You got to make all that make sense. You gonna take that. You gonna take that stance. It might be problematic for you. But for me, I know white people. I would say white people are up here. It may not be all white people. But there's some white people up here, man. Shalom, man. But brothers, got anything else, man?
No, I'm good, huh?
Yeah, man. Good lesson, brother, man. Israel just gotta just start looking at some of these holes, man, and start filling in the gaps, And so because we know that like you was talking about the Hawaiians and stuff, so a lot of those people that was believing in that, if my memory served me correctly, a lot of them didn't believe in like the Mexicans and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So got a lot of work to do, brother. A good lesson, brother.
Yeah, we do, man. Yeah, we do. And again, it's just we not banging on IUIC. We just saying, hey, these are some of the questions. These are some of the questions will come up when we understand that Herod was a Edomite or ruling over Judea. These are some of the things that come up with that, and just to open up dialogue and questioning. For the brother that was teaching this, man, and hopefully, the whole body, man, and even for us, we got things that we got to fill these things in, and make all of this make make sense, but where it's not contradicting our ideology or our philosophy or our understanding of the text. Got to just make everything make sense. So I yield with that, man. I pray this thing was edifying. Pray somebody got something from it. Again, we not banging on IUIC. We love y'all, brothers. Just gave a little more to the dialogue and just a few questions you can ask yourselves. You don't have to address us or put us in no video or nothing like that. Just certain things that y'all talk amongst yourselves, because it is a heavy topic. It is a heavy topic. It is heavy to digest, and it could make a major shift. It could bring forth a major shift doctrinally, especially because I know that y'all are Israel only. All right. But I yield with that, man. Shalom, everyone. Y'all be blessed.
Shalom.
Hey, shalom.